Hey guys, welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show. Today's guest is Michael Daniel, managing partner of Bragg and festival director of the Dubai Comedy Festival, the man who brings the laughs to Dubai. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here in peak crisis. You know, the country is going through something we've never seen before, and you're putting on one of the biggest comedy festivals in the region. How's that going?
Well, suffice it to say that what we're seeing right now is unprecedented in the history of the country, let alone in the history of the city. I have to say that the shout out goes to the team. The team have been amazing with everything that we've been doing so far. You know, you have to take it one step at a time, as it comes. You know, as we say, you know, with the team, we roll with the punches. That's the only way to do it, and you laugh at everything that comes your way because you know what? That's when you're talking about a festival that's all about instilling laughter and joy in people. The only thing you can do in a situation like this is to laugh about the situation. Say, hey, this is funny in its own right, even though it's not. But you know, you go with it and you try to make the best of it, and you fix the problems as they come. We're all about solutions at at Dubai Comedy Fest and at Bragg. So
well, I guess you've got to be at this point. Is there anything the audience need to be aware of in terms of times, schedules, acts coming through?
Yes. So obviously, with everything that's going on, be it airport delays, be it road obstructions, etc. You know, be mindful of getting to shows a little bit earlier. Some shows have been canceled, some shows have been postponed. All the information is at DubaiComedyFest.ae on the website, as well as our socials, Dubai Comedy Fest on Instagram. So, just stay tuned. We're always, putting out new information, and we want people to be safe, and we want people to also show up. There is no reason for you not to show up. Dubai Opera is very much operational.
Cool.
Roxy is very much operational. We have a show tonight with Zarna Garg at Dubai Opera, and we have also the show taking place at Roxy later on tonight with the Bil Masri folks who are coming all the way from Egypt. They had a tiring and harrowing experience to get here, but they made it in the end. So please, let's show them the support and let's make our way out there.
So cool. I want to get a bit into the history of the Comedy Festival, which I know you're very much part of, but just to get a bit of a background about you and your love for comedy, and can you remember the first comedy gig that you ever went to that you thought, hey, this is cool?
Yeah, so I mean, my love affair with comedy started because I grew up between Dubai and Montreal. And Montreal is very synonymous with comedy out of the fact that they have the Just for Laughs, which happens annually every summer. So I used to go to a lot of the shows every summer when I was still living in Montreal, and I was there actually 2 years back, actually a year ago, and was catching it. But ever since I was going, the comedy bug, bit me when I was at that festival. And then when the opportunity presented itself to us with in partnership with DET, because DET are ultimately the custodians of the brand, and they own the brand. I jumped at the opportunity because this is sort of right up my wheelhouse. Big fan of comedy, big fan of all the comedians, big fan of all the local comedians that are sort of making this culture happen out here.
Yeah, and
really building out the industry, as it were. So it's fascinating to see what's happening and how it's growing. Obviously, it's places like the US and the UK, they've had a long stretch with comedy. And I think now that the Middle East, while notorious for being sort of unfunny because of the situation and the political climate, we're proving time and time again that we love to have a laugh at, there's plenty of talented comedians out here and entertainers out here. So, we're all about growing that community and growing that industry out here. And that's really what it is all about.
I love comedy so much, I have to say. I think there's nothing better than a comedy show at any point of the year.
Sure.
Can you give us a bit of an insight into the scale? So it was born 5 years ago. What did it look like then versus what does it look like now?
So I want to say, to be more accurate, it was reborn 5 years ago.
Okay.
The original festival happened in 2015, and with DET they brought in acts like Dave Chappelle, Hannibal Buress. Trevor Noah was kind of growing and expanding at that point in time. Fast forward to 2020, because at the Dubai Comedy Festival we don't like to do things easy. We decided, hey, let's kick things off in COVID, or at least at the tail end of COVID happening in Dubai. So we kicked it back into high gear in 2020, October 2020. We had a smaller festival then, and it's grown sort of, slowly, but grown exponentially. I want to say in the expansion of number of shows, number of comedians that have come through, with still challenges every year. But it's great to see that we're able to capture the imagination of those living abroad who want to come here, and when they do come here, they're always sort of saying, how amazing the city is, and how amazing the festival is, and how amazing the venue is. We had 2 sold-out shows with Gad the other day, and backstage he was telling me sort of anecdotally, he's like how much he loves coming back to this room, and he never in a million years would have thought that, oh, I'm doing a French show in a city like Dubai, and that goes to show, sort of the multicultural aspect and what we're trying to push with the festival as well, because one of our taglines is a world of laughs, given the fact that there's 200 nationalities living in this city, and you can do comedy in your language, and still have an audience for that. So
this is a big question we want to ask. We are a diverse city filled with so many nationalities. How do you cater to that? How do you make sure that everyone's laughter needs are met?
Sure. So the easiest part is to do shows in English, obviously, but because you have such a wide ranging diaspora, be it sort of the South Asian community, the European community, which is broken up into all the sub sort of categories there, and then you have the African diaspora and the East Asian diaspora. We try to find shows that make sense. We're always trying to find the balance between, quality comedy and quality entertainment, and shows that happen in language. So it's a balancing act, but we find them. There's a great community of comedians who come out here and do shows in German. We've had it. Like I said, we mentioned French. We've done shows in Hindi, and we've done shows in Arabic, obviously, because Arabic is the mother tongue of the UAE. So we're constantly finding those pockets of comedians. Actually, during this festival, we had a show completely done in Tagalog, which was the first time we're doing it at the Dubai Comedy Fest. So it's kind of this trend that we want to continue doing and growing. Sometimes easier said than done because of, just like I said, trying to find the right quality and the right balance. But we'll get there in the end, and hopefully ultimately down the line, 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the line, Dubai Comedy Fest is really seen as the festival which is a world of laughs that comes to you with multiple languages, because no other festival in the world can really claim that, to be honest with you.
Exactly, this is the thing. You touched on having a quiet conversation backstage with Gad, like one of the world's biggest comedians, which is so cool. You also briefly mentioned that you started in COVID, which is just a a wild story all of its own. Like, what for you, having been operating this for 5 years, is a highlight or just something spectacular that happened behind the scenes?
The thing for me about comedy, and this is the thing that I think we need to work on here, and hopefully we'll get to that point, is the impromptu-ness of comedy. What I mean by that is that there is an element of surprise. So, again, I'll use this example. We had a show happening, the comedians finished doing their thing, and then all of a sudden a comedian who was not on the set or not on the bill sort of popped out on stage, sort of to say, "Hey guys, how you doing?" And you see the excitement and the crowd sort of really get energized because there's no expectation, right? So those are the highlights for me. Those things, those like little unexpected moments where people are really sort of taken to a next level. Everybody enjoyed the show. It's not to say that, but then when you add something like that to it, it just takes the enjoyment to another level, and they become super engaged, and they become super excited by the whole experience, and they walk away from it saying, "Oh my God, that was amazing! Who would have thought this person was going to show up?"
There's nothing like a live comedy experience when everyone
absolutely
is having the best time, but sometimes comedians can push the button, right?
Yes.
And they'll always go beyond a mark, and they'll say, "Well, this is a joke, and it's not funny to some people."
Yes.
Do you have restrictions on comedians coming into the country on what they can say?
Look, we always tell comedians when they come here that there are no restrictions, but there are certain guidelines that they have to abide by. What we mean by that is that, there's a certain level of, respect that has to be adhered to. So, things that are sort of no-go zones when it comes to talking about religion, when it comes to talk about regional politics that impact sort of the city and the wider country. There are sensitivities around that. Other than that, we're really sort of not really telling people what they should and shouldn't say. I don't think that that's the image or that's the message that we want to send out to folks. On the contrary, I think comedians, if we're really honest with each other, comedians are the really good ones, are the truth bearers you know, and they shine the light on the absurdities of the world, no matter what they are. And we find light and the humor in it so that we can take it back, you know, and think about it again and say, oh, you know what, that actually makes sense. There's a little bit of craziness and absurdity involved to that. We should laugh about it, but how do we fix it moving down the line? And I think the best comedians do that very, very, very well. And that said, I don't think that we want to take that away from them when they come here. We don't want anybody coming to the festival and walking away saying, oh, I wasn't able to say this or do this or say that. That's not a good look. It's not a good image. And it's not what Dubai is all about, or the UAE for that matter. But that said, there are certain sensitivities that we try to tell them, you know, just be mindful of them and just make sure that you're navigating those waters, you know, not carefully, but more so, you know, tactfully, I would say.
Very fair. I love what you said there about some of the best comedians will navigate something very tactfully. Yeah. And we've been lucky on this show, we've been able to sit and talk to some surprisingly are TikTokers. Yeah. And they're super smart.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are you, and there's now a lot of very famous TikToker comedians, how are you tackling, I guess, non-traditional, like podcasts coming onto the show, versus the kind of traditional stand-ups that we've seen for so long? I feel like comedy is changing, and are you addressing 100%. It?
I mean, comedy is it's such a wide, varied art form right now. Before it was your stand-up, right? And even back in the day, when you think about comedy, how it started in the US, you know, you weren't able to say everything that you wanted. There were certain things that were taboo and you were getting arrested for it, but things changed over time. I think in today's world, yes, podcasts, sketches on TikTok, you know, improv, musical comedy. There's so many varied and diverse ways to be funny in. And I think, you know, we're trying at the festival to really navigate those waters to find, again, the quality talent that's doing that. As an example, we had internet sensations with Sean Shidia. My parents
love
are
him.
divorced.
Yeah, we've had him on the show.
You know, and the rest of the crew that did the show the other day, well received. And I see, you know, big things with those guys. And that you know, and again, it's local talent, local entertainers who are going down the route of funny and doing some interesting things that we want to sort of champion with the festival. And I think it's very important that we don't move away from that. Yes, we'll always have the international talent coming in. That's by virtue of the demand. But I think it's also very important that we carve out the festival to make sure that the local and regional talent is very much represented.
Speaking of representation, I can't believe we've gotten to a whole way through the show without mentioning that Lovin Dubai is a proud media partner of this event.
Yes, thank you.
But also mainly to get to the lineup, right? So we've drawn to a close, but if you can give people an idea of the lineup and how people can get tickets.
Yeah, so all your tickets can be found through DubaiComedyFest.ae. They link to Dubai Opera and the Platinum List and the Roxy, where predominantly all the shows are taking place. So we have shows happening tonight with Zarnagard, like I said, and we have the Dubai Comedy Bazaar, which is again a showcase of all the local comedians who take place. That's happening in the Dubai Opera studio, as well as a show with Bill Musri at the Roxy Cinema Theaters in Dubai Hills. Tomorrow you have Spencer Vogue and Mo Gilligan, who will be taking shows on
big night,
absolutely,
big night,
100%. And then again, Comedy Bazaar at the studio, again with shows at the Roxy, with Bill Musri again doing an earlier showcase, and then we have Riyad Musa and Alfred Arian doing shows at the Roxy over the next coming days. And then you have Bazi, massive, South Asian comedian who's already sold out one show, but the second show is still very much available at an earlier time slot. Make sure if you're a fan to go out there and get it. And then we close things off with Bil Arabi, which is another showcase of Arab talent, as well as an earlier show with Amr Zahar, who's a Palestinian-American comedian who's coming in and doing a show in the Dubai Opera for the first time. And that's going to prove to be a very fun show for all the sort of Palestinian Arabs or non-Palestinian Arabs who just want, a good laugh considering all things that are happening now that's going on. So yeah, lots going on still. We end on the 21st, but we'll definitely be coming back for more, in the months and the years to come.
Thank you so much for your time. So there you have it. Dubai Comedy Festival is ongoing. You can get your tickets still. This is Michael Daniel, who's Managing Director of Bragg and the Dubai Comedy Festival Director. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Guys, that brings us to the end of the Lovin Dubai show. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Bye-bye from me.
Thank
Great.
you. How was
cool.
that?
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Really well spoken.
Okay, thank you.